Hi guys, what's up? This is Patrick here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be my first ever video. What you're going to see today is 20 minutes out of 100 hours that I'm going to release of a poker course. This is kind of some exclusive content, little sneak peek into how I'm going to coach, how I'm going to teach. I do want to release more videos on this YouTube channel, so please, if you are interested, if you do like the content, please like, subscribe, click the bell, whatever else you can do on YouTube. I'm planning to do podcasts, opinion pieces, hand reviews, final table replays, more exclusive content from the course, so please get involved and it'll really help the channel. Thanks a lot. Hi guys, what's up? This is going to be a lesson which I think is one, not spoken about, two, I haven't really seen any in-depth videos on, and three, it's a topic which I think can yield you a lot of EV and actually increase your ROI in tournaments quite a lot. It's a strategy which I do myself very often in a session, around about 10, 15, 20 times a session, and I feel like I see other people doing it against me like almost never, or like a couple of times a session. So I feel like it's a strategy which is definitely ahead of the times, even in a world where people have been studying PO for so long. Like I've said in previous videos, if you don't put the correct inputs into PO, you're not going to get the correct outputs. So because we have an equity advantage, but we don't have a nut advantage. That's the two most important mechanics of the strategy. Our range is better than his overall because we don't have the weak hands. We're not left with as much queen tens. We don't have, king queen offsuits. We want to push our equity advantage, but we don't want to push our nut advantage. On the flop, our opponent is doing lots of overbetting because he's pushing his nut advantage against us. He has pocket tens, pocket jacks, pocket queens, pocket kings. We don't have these hands. So on the flop, he's pushing his nut advantage. When he goes for the bet here and we call, and we see a turn, we're pushing our equity advantage. Very important. You'll find lots of spots where you're playing as the pre-flop aggressor, where you want to push your nut advantage, and it may be a board like ace king 5. On ace king 5, you want to push the fact that you have ace king and your opponent doesn't. You want to push the fact that you have ace queen and your opponent doesn't, because he would free bet ace queen, ace king, aces, kings pre-flop. So on boards like ace king X, on boards like 8-4-2, the pre-flop eraser has a lot of nut advantage, and it's very important that he pushes this nut advantage by using this very large sizing, whereas for the big blind, you want to push your equity advantage when the board is very middling. So I'm going to show you in a PowerPoint presentation in just 1 second. So here's a pot I played against one of the best players in the world, Malika style. He goes for a raise from the button. I defend the big blind with 6-4 offsuit, pretty standard. Flop is king 7 free flush draw. I face a very small bet. I guess it's around 20%, 25%. I go for a call. My hand doesn't have great properties to raise. I don't have a diamond. It's okay, I guess. I can fold out some queen 10 of hearts and stuff like that. So maybe it's an option we're going to see in PO Solver. However, I go for a check call. On the turn, I now go for a lead. So if we think about the ranges, he's betting his range, most likely when he uses a small sizing. Small sizing on the flop generally indicates someone's going to bet their entire range or close to the entire range. I go for a lead now on the turn. So I'm nudging the pot on the turn here. The board is king 7 free 5. So if we think about my range, I have a lot of hands like 6-7. I have a lot of hands like 7-8. I have a lot of hands like 7-4. I have a lot of hands like 5-6. A lot of hands like 5-4. A lot of hands like 4-3 suited. A lot of hands like just any suited free. Maybe some weak king X hands. Some flush draw hands which have high equity. He has the nut hands, so he has pocket 7s, pocket 3s, pocket kings, pocket aces, king 7, king 3, king queen, king jack. The strong king X hands I wouldn't raise, but he also is left with a bunch of hands like queen 10 of spades, queen jack of spades, or even those hands like jack 10 offsuit, like ace 9 offsuit. He's got a lot of hands here which typically have nothing, right? I have a lot of hands with quite okay equity, but not amazing equity, whereas his range is going to be somewhat polarized. He's going to have like really good hands with really good equity, but he's left with more hands which are like quite dusty hands, just nothing going on. So I'm going to show you now in PO Solver and see if I'm correct or not. I haven't ran this hand, so I'm not saying, yeah, look, PO Solver says I'm playing right here, so I'm going to run this hand right now and then show you the hand. Okay, so let's go. So here we have this is me in the big blind. My range is debatable, could shove some stuff, could have some more free bets non all in, could pure call some hands, but generally, you know, this around about 35 big blind versus button, I'm fine with the range. You know, could slow play aces, for example, doesn't matter too much, just it's the general concept. I've decreased his pre-flop raising from 55% to 51%. I've just taken out a few of the weaker hands, the peripheral hands here, some king 5 off, some 4-3 suited, because he's raising into 2 stacks who can shove on him, so decreasing his overall RFI by around 10% seems like good adjustment. I've given him 2 sizes on the flop rather than 4 or 5 sizings, because I believe that's how he will play on a king high board. There's no need to run for 5 sizings here. For myself, I haven't given myself a leading range on the flop, but I've given myself a donking strategy on the turn, and, you know, 5 sizings on the river. He has 3 sizings on the river, multiple turn sizings. So it's a sophisticated enough sim, I believe. So we go to the flop of king 7-3 flush draw, and we can see that I haven't got any leads, obviously. He is going to basically range bet here. You know, there's a few hands which are checking, but we can assume that he's essentially going to range bet. So he's going to range bet, and then my counter strategy is to check raise some strong king X hands. It's to, check raise these hands. Check raise some 6-5, which is like some straight draw, same with 6-4. Check raise my bottom 2 pair. Let's see what kings and, so you can see here kings and threes. Top and bottom pairs often acting as a slow play. You can see that 7-3 is always fast playing, even though king 3 is stronger than 7-3. King 3 likes the slow play because it's a hand which can be counterfeited, so it can be, its equity or its strength can be drastically changed on the turn or river. Like right now, it's the absolute nuts against, say, king queen. But on some rivers, it can, and turns, it can just be counterfeited. So just typically, it's going to be a hand which we're going to slow play very often. Top and bottom pair, you can often just do as a default slow play. 7-3 also is going to perform better against king queen than king 3 because you unblock the king X, which is going to be continuing. Just a little theory point there. We go for a call, and the turn is the 5 of hearts, I believe. Let's go back to the thing. Yeah, 5 of hearts is the turn. So you can see here, it's nice. We have a 30% donk strategy or equity nudge. So you can see here, we don't want to use this large all-in or any crazy kind of sizing. We're just really wanting to nudge the pot up a little bit. We have the equity advantage. We don't have the nut advantage. We've check raised on the flop already with our top pairs. We've check raised on the flop already with our 7-3s. You know, our king jacks have check raised. We don't have pocket kings. We don't have pocket 7s. We don't have pocket 3s. He has kings. He has 7s. He has 3s. He has aces. He has king queen. He has king jack. He has king 10. You know, so our range is lacking nuts a lot, but even though we're lacking the nuts, we're still leading 30% of the time, which is pretty interesting. So let's look at my exact hand here. My exact hand is 6-4 offsuit. Let's have a look at what we're doing. 6-4 offsuit is nudging the pot around about 60% of the time. So it's going to be the dominant strategy of our hand. So yeah, I'm glad that I found this in game. Let's look at a hand not quite as strong as 6-4. Let's look at a hand like 5-4, which is a pair. You can see this hand is still nudging 35% of the time. So I'm just going to have a look here at what happens when we nudge. When we nudge, our opponent is only supposed to fold 25% of the time, which is pretty interesting. We can see hands like, say, ace-9. Ace-9 is basically never folding against us here. Even a hand like ace-8 is continuing very frequently. It's only folding around about 40% of the time here, we can see, which is pretty interesting, right? Because ace-8 has such bad visibility, it looks like. It's just, you know, it can be dead, it's so far behind, it's going to get bluffed, etc, etc. We can see hands like, you know, all the queens of something going on, all pure calling, of course. We can see all these hands obviously always continuing. But yeah, you'll often see that because we lead such a small size, in position has to call a lot, but it also has to raise a lot. And we can see here, hands like Jack 4 are pure raising the turn here. You can see Jack 4 of hearts is pure raising. Queen 4 of spades is pure raising. So hands are playing very aggressively, which probably won't. Look at ace deuce offsuit here. Ace deuce off is red, red, red. It is so aggressively playing the turn, but in reality, I don't think our opponents are going to be playing this aggressively. So what it's actually going to show us, let's just do some node locking here. So let's do node locking how I think people will play certain hands. So we can see the raise here. I'm going to give this ace 2 off 0% raises, jack 4 off 0% raises, queen 4 off 0% raises, ace 5 off 0%, ace 4 off 0%, ace 3 0%. I'm just going to give all of these hands 0% raises, which is not even that many. So yeah, let's just give these hands 0% raises, which is realistic, I think, but let's just do it. We're going to lock these selected combos and set the strategy to close. So let's just go back, and I'm going to run this now, and we're going to see how my turn range changes in terms of nudging based on how I believe population are going to play. Okay, so let's have a look at what happens. I think before I had to lead something like 29% on the turn. So let's see what happens. He goes for the small size and we call, and then we see the 5 of hearts. Great. So you can see here, we've gone from leading 30% to 50%, which is a big difference. And you can see the hands we're leading more often are going to be, 5-4 a little bit more. Hands, yeah, just in general, a lot more hands, like 7-4 full frequency lead, 7-2 full frequency lead, all the 7s just fully leading. So yeah, it's very good to see that our strategy is basically pretty nailed on there, I think, and we can be very comfortable, I think, with that. So on the, let's see what happens. We bet, and he's going to go for the call. The river, I believe, was the ace of hearts. Okay, so ace of hearts. Very good to see. We're supposed to check, but we're either shoving or checking. Like, we're not interested in value betting our 7 anymore. Remember, our range for getting to the river is not strong king x hands. It's weak kind of 7 hands, weak showdown value hands, some nutted like 2 pairs or some nutted straights which unblock ace x and king x, which will value bet themselves anyway. So on the river, our dominant strategy is definitely going to be to check at a very heavy high frequency. So our hand 6-4 wants to check, allow him to turn, queen high into a bluff, whatever it may be, and value bet ace x, value bet king x, etc. So we go for a check. Our opponent's most common bet size is a block, because he's value betting quite thinly. He doesn't need to bet big because he's not value betting big against the king. He's not value betting big against an ace, because we don't have as much ace x or king x here. Our range is mostly 7x, maybe 5-4, 5-6, stuff like that. So when he's value betting king x, there's no point of like doing so much shoving or huge betting. He's going to be targeting a medium range and trying to make a medium range indifferent with his bluffs. So he goes for the small sizing. Let's see what sizing Malika used on the river. He went for the half pot, which I didn't allocate, but it makes sense, a half pot or third pot sizing, I believe. And then obviously 6-4 is going for the all-in because we have the nuts. We're also shoving a7. We're shoving basically most of our 2 pairs, our straights. We're turning some hands into a bluff like 4-3, like 3-2, which is like bottom pair, some kind of blocker. We're shoving king 5 for value. We're shoving ace 3 for value. All that makes sense. We're calling with any ace we get to the river with. We're calling with some 7x still as well. But yeah, our strategy typically is going to be shoving. And then when we shove, he has to, he's got to fold some ace x. I'm not sure if people will fold these. I think in game, people typically will bet call ace queen, bet call ace jack, bet call ace 10 very often. So when they're doing that, I believe that we should be more value heavy with our check shove on the river. But yeah, hopefully this explained the concept well to you and you understand it, and this hand was a good example. If you obviously have questions about the spot, what combos, etc., just let me know and I can answer them. I'm also now going to go through some other hands in some different spots which have the same general theory. So thanks again and keep watching.